Welcome to another exciting episode of Utopia News Warcast for the Age of Ancestry. This is your host Wind, and today's date is May 11th, year 4. We're going to go through the wars quickly today. There aren't too many wars, actually. This seems to be a fairly quiet weekend. Many wars were completed in the past few days, so I mean, it's no surprise that the majority of the, warring kingdoms that are usually getting, one war every every year roughly, or one war every year, every year and a half roughly. They're kind of mostly in ceasefires right now, so there are very few kingdoms going to war. Plus, I think everyone seems to be taking it a bit easy this weekend as well, so that's always good to see. Hi, Cell. Good to see you. All right, thanks for joining, Cell. We're going to move on with this broadcast and take a look at some of the wars currently in progress. So let's see what's going on today. All right. So it looks like we still got a few wars still going on, well past min time. You can see them there at the top. Monster Tomatoes has defeated Wishmasters. Syndicate has defeated First Timers. I mean, Syndicate had a really strong performance in their past war, so we kind of expected to see this. I mean, if these are in fact actual First Timers, they would be no match for Syndicate. Syndicate's a very skilled kingdom, so shout out to them. Um, and then, of course, as I said, there aren't too many wars that have happened recently. Just to give you some idea, there's only 3 wars really that have started in the past 24 hours, or since the last warcast. So without further ado, let's take a quick look at what's going on in the top 10 today. There we are. All right. So, Evolution's still kind of at the top there. Syndicate, it looks like they left their they just joined them at the top there with this victory, putting them in second place for second biggest kingdom in the world, 4-4 shortly behind them. Romania sneaking up and 5-7 sneaking up as well. Crackerjack and Duck says Quack not too far behind. Mickey is going on holiday for a week. I doubt that. I think Mickey's going to be pretty busy soon. Um, Jerry and the Unnamed Kingdom, WTF, all in the top 10 right now. So good luck to everyone who's fighting for positions up there. It's definitely going to be a tough battle. All right, so that's it for that. Let's take a look at some of the wars currently completed. So we've got Monsters defeats Wishmasters. I think we kind of saw that coming. I mean, as I said in the last broadcast, one of the members of Wishmasters says they were going to bring it out. Um, or give something. I don't know. They said they were going to do something, but it looks like that meant they were giving up or something like that. But either way, you know, looks like they did at least try to win this war. I mean, there's some evidence here that they did make an effort, but Monsters Tomatoes was just a little bit too powerful for them. It was even footings as well, but again, they didn't. One thing I will say, Wishmasters didn't really lose too much honor on this one. They're only down a few thousand, but Monster Tomatoes took a nice gain here. So good job there, guys. Let's take a quick look at their profile pages here on the kingdoms. Wishmasters with their standard banner. We come to see that from them all the time. Take a look at Monster Tomatoes. Of course, they've got the Monster Tomato banner up. Again, this is their standard banner. Um, nice war score, by the way, Monster Tomatoes. Let's take a look at Wishmasters. Pretty good for one win. I mean, a point 7 is always nice. There's definitely a lot of kingdoms out there with less than that. So good job to both of you on that war. Let's take a quick look at the next one. All right, we've got Syndicate. Looks like they easily defeat first timers. I mean, they're constantly in control of the land battle. They came in pretty equal, but Syndicate definitely walked away with the majority of the land there. As you can see, they dominated wave over wave here. Not too much contest. I mean, we don't even have to do the quadrant thing. Um, Syndicate just pounded the crap out of them. Quick look at the honor side of things to see what happened here. Syndicate stayed in the upper position. It doesn't look like first timers really ever made a move on the honor chart. Gives you some idea of possibly a lack of coordination and maybe TM power on first timers side compared to Syndicate. I mean, they kind of just wave over wave, they were making gains, and first timers was taking them down a tiny bit, but nothing close to what was needed to win this war. Syndicate looks like they have one province in protection or something right now. Let's take a quick look to see what's going on here. Syndicate looks like they're kicking butt. 4 war wins, 3.25, 3.21 war score. Yeah, it looks like this province is in protection, Tom and Jerry. Let's take a look at the other guys. First timers. Oh yes, this is the Dryad Fairy Kingdom. I mean, a respectable war score there for sure. Um, and I mean, I'm sure it's nice that they had all this support power, but at the end of the day, Dryad is not necessarily the greatest pick this age without, very strong integration from the TM side or from another core of attackers that would be required. I mean, these Dryads could be avians or orcs or something. I mean, that's probably one of the things I might choose. But again, this is a slower marching army, so you might want to turtle them a little bit more. At the same time, they can't really take too much acres, so I mean, that kind of stops them from swelling up a little bit too much. But again, Dryad probably, definitely not my first pick for any attacker. I mean, great support caster, but that means you only keep maybe 3 or 4 of them around um, just to help out. But even then, that's committing a lot of resources to just getting those support spells. Um, so Syndicate did a good job on this one. Reports from Syndicate indicate this was definitely their war from the beginning. Circumstances going into the war were definitely on their side. Not that they really needed it, as you can see, despite being on even footings, they managed to take down their enemy pretty consistently here. I mean, there's not too much movement in the upward direction for first timers here. But definitely, a good war to learn from for first timers. So they should definitely be more prepared come the next war and next age, of course, when they take on the warring world again. So best of luck to both of you guys and have fun in your ceasefire. Let's take a quick look at some of the wars in progress right now. We've got the Marauding Critters versus Unknown Kingdom War. Quick look at the land reveals. Both kingdoms are somewhat growing right now. However, Unknown Kingdom is taking a beating on the land side. It looks like Marauding Critters is just finishing their wave. Let's take a look at the net worth side of things. Um, it looks like Marauding Critters is starting to level off a little bit, actually. With again, we're starting to see that smiley face shape pattern here. Which indicates, there's something going on here, and it's definitely not on Red Kingdom's favor at the moment. I mean, you can see these strong waves they have that Blue Kingdom has here. And Red Kingdom, of course, is doing some damage. They were doing a lot more damage at the beginning, though. Seems like they've lost a little bit of their steam. As Blue Kingdom is making some nice plays on them, as you can see here. Here they're taking a good amount of damage. I mean, it's definitely impacting the outcome of this war because you look at these trend arrows, and they kind of give you an indication of how much damage is actually being done. I mean, we look at what they're up to here. There's only this part right here. This a little bit of horizontal growth. These two here actually, kind of again a pattern's beginning to emerge here. 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. Now, I mean, I'll just spell this out a little bit for you. I mean, this 0 indicates, definite loss of net worth, whereas the 1 is more of a horizontal movement. As you can see, we're starting to see a pattern here again, but these patterns are becoming a little bit more elongated. So, we're back into our horizontal status of the 1 again here. However, there's a strong play being made right now by Marauding Critters where they're actually on track to achieve convergence. You better take a drink, Ulfwald. I'm not going to say that too many times, so you better take a big one this time. But no, I'm just kidding. I'm going to say it as many times as I can just to get you drunk as possible. All right, I hope you're listening, watching, drinking. Awesome. Let's see what happens. See, and again, I don't even have to trace this line. We can tell right here, we're starting to see a pattern emerge here. trend, wave over wave. I mean, this comes down to what the enemy's doing, what your wave strategy is, how you plan your TMs. I mean, but we're seeing these patterns pretty clearly here. I mean, I could shorten these arrows a little bit, but again, we're seeing the same patterns here. A nice steady pattern, which means Marauding Critters is doing an excellent job um, attempting to overtake the enemy here and go for that convergence is what you're always looking for. I mean, you want to climb on top of the enemy. It's like judo. I know Binar likes to joke about this game being like judo and climbing on top of your enemy, and yeah, well, that's kind of the way I look at it too. But from the net worth perspective side of things, I mean, net worth warring is kind of something I've done in the past, and it has been very successful. However, there's very strict guidelines that your team has to follow. There's a lot of micro involved, can make it very hard. I mean, looking at these provinces here, definitely looks like Unknown Kingdom's taking some significant damage. And again, this is evident probably by the most recent wave that happened just now. To be honest, I don't think they're chaining these guys deep enough to do the kind of damage they need to do, um, to win this war faster. I think, a more coordinated offensive, and possibly a little bit of sacrifice might take them a bit further. But again, we're pretty late in the war right now, 135 hours. These things are best done closer to min time or just after min time. To make sacrifices now can sometimes be like shooting you in the foot. But as you can see, there's definitely a pattern appearing here, which is actually in favor of Marauding Critters. And, definitely I think they have a very good chance to take this war if they do continue. So best of luck to both sides. We're just going to sweep that up. Um, best of luck to both sides. Let's check out the next war. WOLFPACK versus Mythcraft warLords. WOLFPACK. Looks like WOLFPACK, after being in control of land for so long, has finally ceded the land to Mythcraft. Let's take a look at the net worth side. Looks like Mythcraft is achieving this convergence now, and then they're starting to diverge. So, we always like to point this out, or rather, I always like to point this out because it's usually a good indication, of something changing in the war. Usually a loss of attackers or loss of the TM side of the battle. But as you can see here, these were pretty vital points for Wolfpack. They had a very strong lead here going into, let's see what day this actually is here, Feb. So it was actually March 8th. However, things really started to go downhill around March 8th, representative of Feb 8th on the target finder right now. Definitely looks like the war is kind of going against them. However, again, look at this damage here to the net worth, 2 million, 2.2 million, 2 million. There's definitely Mythcraft is taking the acres, taking the honor. Um, this is probably, and again, Wolfpack being slightly down on players in comparison to Mythcraft, and the loss of honor here, and of course Mythcraft taking the acres. This is probably a good time for Wolfpack to just take that ceasefire and have a nice, relaxing Sunday. But I mean, it's entirely up to them. Um, I don't necessarily mean for them to withdraw at this point, but certainly, going further at this point will definitely hurt them for the rest of the age, I think. They are already fairly small, and looking at the honor side of things, they already have lost not too much honor. I mean, it's not like Mythcraft is walking all over them, but I just don't think Mythcraft's going to let this war go easily. And it might be best if Wolfpack licks their wounds and just takes a ceasefire on this one, because again, they're going into these wars with two provinces down or one province down in most cases, and when you're facing decent opponents that have strategy and skill equal to that of your own, or similar to that of your own, you're always putting yourself at a disadvantage. I mean, it's fighting an uphill battle with a stone chain behind your back, and not as many people to carry it up. So best of luck to everyone in this war, and however you decide to proceed. Um, Everyone likes Sunday off. That's all I'm going to say. Let's move on to the next war, WTF versus Utopian Crosswords. WTF looks like they're running away with the land finally after a close battle with Utopian Crosswords. Um, Huge damage to Utopian Crosswords, 4 million. WTF only at 2.6 million. I mean, look at the acres lost there. That is intense. And not to mention the honor gained here. You know, I didn't expect Utopian Crosswords to necessarily lose this war. I kind of want to know what kind of orcs these are, if they are avian orcs, of course, or if they are pure orcs, or what they actually are, these orcs. You know what, WTF? Let's take a look at that right now. Let's see if I've got any data on this on 8.2. Oh, no, you know what? I don't even have any data I can show you on this one at this time. Looks like I've closed my Utopia window by accident. Let's get that back open here. No, pay attention to my tabs there. All right, there we are back in here. Let's take a look at the kingdom. Where were we? WTF is 8.2. All right, pretty cool looking kingdom. Utopia Crosswords, of course, with the crossword thing. Oh, it looks like they've changed it a little bit, so that helps you figure out what's going on there. Yeah, definitely a nice looking setup here on this kingdom. Definitely would like to know if they are avians or orcs, but I would have to log into my intel page to see if that's the case. You know what? I'm just going to do it anyway, except I'm going to do it from my cell phone because at least that way I don't have to worry about showing too much on my screen, and I can still relay the information to you if I do in fact actually have something on this kingdom. So let's see. Oh, error loading page. Yep, typical Utopia timeout. It's just going to make me log in again. All right. I hope I do have some intel on this kingdom because I kind of do want to know if they are avian or if they are pure orcs. Because Utopia Crossword's a very strong kingdom. I actually know who they are. Some people do know who they are as well. I'm not going to say who they are right now because they don't necessarily want to be revealed. Um, but in this case, you know, I'm just taking a quick look here at what these personalities are. Darn, I don't actually have any intel on this kingdom. So definitely, if anybody knows what WTF is running here, I just like to know what kind of orcs they have primarily. You know, I just, again, you know, I was really um, pushing for people to play Orc Avian because I thought it was such a great combination. Just fingers crossed. I hope they're playing Avian Orcs, and if they beat pure Orc against Utopian Crosswords, I'll be super excited about that. I mean, you know, not super excited that Utopian Crosswords lost, but you know that my Avian Orcs are doing so well. All right, let's take a look here. I mean, the honor side, it looks like Utopian Crosswords has lost a fair bit, but you know, at the end of the day, they did come in slightly more honor. Um, the enemy did have a lot less honor in year three, um, but looks like that's you know that's changing for them very quickly. And the longer they stay in this war, it looks like the more honor they're going to walk away with. Definitely looks like WTF could be taking this war. So be careful, Utopian Crosswords. This is, you know, I think this was definitely a war where it seemed like you had a very good chance to win. You were on top for so long, 67 hours. You know, you prevented them from achieving, you know, divergence for so long. They did converge many times. Um, you hear that old fold, convergence, 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 convergence. You see all those points of convergence and finally divergence here. And if Utopian Crossword can pull this one back, um, they might still have a shot at this. Again, we're just starting to see this smiley face effect, except it's happening sooner. But again, you know, the smiley face effect can turn back around, and Utopia Crosswords could, you know, achieve that convergence again and diverge back again in the upward direction, and you know, can and actually take this war. But whether or not this is actually going to happen, or whether that's their end game for this one, remains to be seen. As you can see from the land side of things, it definitely looks like they have more provinces in a smaller position. The orcs definitely feeling the love on both sides right now from the chains. But I mean, look at some of these massive dwarfs and this dryad here. And of course these elves as well. I mean, they're pretty saturated. So those are probably very powerful TM provinces, whereas it looks like it's just TMs. So all of Utopian Crosswords fairies, basically all their TMs, except for this one, looks like he's taken lost a lot of acres here. So it's very possible that that flip and divergence was actually from WTF taking down that TM or soaking up some of that honor and land that was locked down with no offensive power to take it back. And I'm looking at Smartest Book Collector because of the saturation of net worth there. Definitely doesn't look like he's an attacker province. And probably only a few people on the enemy side could hit him, and that's kind of why we're seeing that here. So if this is in fact true, and Utopian Crosswords fairies are starting to get hit down, um, it's just a bad situation for them. That just means that WTF is going to be walking away with a ton of land and a ton of honor out of this war. So best of luck to both sides on this one, but I think you know where I'm leaning on that. Ghetto Nightmare looks like they still got this firm grasp on the Monsters War. Um, there's very little change here, very steady pattern. I mean, Ghetto Nightmare is a very skilled kingdom. They recently warred several other top kingdoms in the past few ages, so they're definitely no stranger to war. And they are having a very strong performance here. It doesn't look like Monsters is really going to be able to do too much here. The best they can do is kind of maintain their honor and land as best as possible, which it seems like they're doing. I mean, they did bring down Ghetto Nightmare, and now they are on top on the honor side of things. Whether they can maintain that or not, is entirely up to them. But likely it has something to do. Um, well, actually, let's see here. They are down one province, and they're climbing on top of Ghetto Nightmare in the honor department. That's very interesting. Usually, the province or the kingdom rather that has one less province struggles to flip honor like this. So there must be some serious TM battle going on in here, but also some good waves going on as well. But that's just the honor side of things. They could just be best gaining, which is usually results in this type of net worth loss, and as well this type of land exchange back and forth. But there's definitely one or two provinces that got sunk pretty deeply here versus the one province that looked like Ghetto Nightmare lost at the beginning. You can kind of see that here. We'll just take a quick look at the net worth. That's the best indicator. It seems like Monsters definitely has more provinces under 150,000. I mean, that's blatantly obvious. That means they've taken more damage and most likely responsible for they're the ones who took these land drops and lost most of their troops and most of their net worth. So best of luck to everyone in that war, although it looks like this is Ghetto Nightmare's war. Moving on to the next one, Mooooo versus Sons of Anarchy. I do have some formatted data for this one. This war's 56 hours old. It looks like Mooooo is starting to go for the acres now. Sons of Anarchy still holding on to the acre side of things, net worth side of things. It looks like Sons of Anarchy has finally conceded a little bit of net worth play here. Of course, Mooooo finally achieving convergence here. It doesn't look like they're able to diverge too much. I mean, but we do see a little bit of a gap here. But a very strong performance from Sons of Anarchy going into this war. However, it looks like it's falling apart a little bit on them now. Um, yeah, on our side of things, Mooooo is definitely in control of this war. Let's take a look at the Seraphim. 6'3", 4,100 acres. I mean, wow. Let's just take a look back at the land side of things. Um, wow, that's pretty intense. Okay, so as we can see here, Sons of Anarchy is the one who's down the acres. So 6'3", I believe, is the Mooooo Kingdom. We'll just confirm that right now. 6'3", yeah, is the Mooooo Kingdom, as I thought. And then 7-6 is Sons of Anarchy. So as you can see, Mooooo is doing some serious damage here. Conversely, they have taken a lot of damage. I mean, shout out to Octavius for still living and breathing here after taking 59 attacks. And of course, these two, they're doing extremely well. I'm not sure what's happening with Wildcat. Maybe that's one of their TM provinces that couldn't march because they didn't have any offense. But as you can see, significantly more damage down here on 7-6, and that's partly why Mooooo is in a better position right now because they are taking out attackers completely. One thing you have to do is commit to chains. I mean, if you have a strategy that's to control econ, sure, by all means go and control econ. You don't have to kill as much troops, but you still have to take out that offense that can seriously hurt potentially your TMs. And then, as long as you bash them up enough, they won't have enough defense left at home to really make a difference. And even if they do, they'll be on low TPA and Wizard's Breaker as they grow fat, so they're just easy targets later on. So it's definitely in everyone's best interest to complete those chains and get them done nice and early before min time. I mean, all these provinces are severely injured versus, really only these two. And this guy only took 8 hits, which means, that was probably over the course of a few waves, just some random hits, people who have high offenses, just to bring the net worth down, make it more accessible, easier to deal with. Let's take a look and see if there's any massacres here. Yeah, a few massacres from the enemy side here. Uniques are pretty much in line. However, the actual number of attacks is a bit off, and then of course the acres definitely in 6-3's favor. Quick look at the uniques. Definitely 6-3 had a better position here when I got this data. So it's very likely that just happened after their wave when I got that data. Um, and as you can see here, Sons of Anarchy just made their wave here and achieved convergence again. There you go, Wolfald. Hope you're drinking. All right, let's move on to the next war. Best of luck to everybody there. The Dickening versus Revenge of the 80s. Let's take a look here. Revenge of the 80s. Definitely in control of this war. I mean, strong performance here by them. There's no way that the Dickening is really going to be able to. Oh, their name says it all. I mean, this is just. They're just giving it away to Revenge of the 80s. So Revenge of the 80s, I hope you enjoy your nice little war there. You're definitely going to walk away with a ton of honor and a ton of land off this one. So this should propel you up there into the charts. You'll probably be in the 30,000 acre range, I would think, provided you're able to stay above this 26K line by the time you win this war. And it looks like, to be honest, I think this war is going to be over in 9 hours when they reach min time or shortly after min time. I just don't see the Dickening being able to walk away with this one. Revenge of the 80s put 1 million extra network damage on them, double the acres. They're up almost the exact same amount honor that the enemy's down. So, and again, the Dickening has one player down. And the way that Revenge of the 80s did Crayons or Shameless or, whatever they want to call themselves now, it's I would have been shocked if the Dickening was actually able to pull this one off because Revenge of the 80 is definitely a group of skilled players, and Shameless is no stranger to war. I mean, they don't like to necessarily withdraw, very early from war, even if it's clear that they may have lost, because there's always a chance to swing it around. Remember, they're from longer ago when wars were more commonly, a week long or longer than that, and that was considered normal. So, just having wars that just last 2 days or 3 days is still a bit new for some people. Don't like to change their old habits, but nothing wrong with that. It definitely wins them some wars, and they had some nice performances in past ages. But it's hard to keep those players locked down and keep everybody interested. All it takes is a couple losses or really bad losses or really long wars to kind of turn people off of the warring game. So best of luck to the Dickening on this one. My advice: pull out as soon as you can and try and save as much acres and honor as you can. All right, let's move on to the next one. Barcoloco has finally gone back to war, and it looks like in terms of net worth, they are getting their butts handed to them. 2 million damage to 2 million damage to 1 million damage on Worms Checkmate. Worms Checkmate's actually up slightly in acres. Barcoloco down on acres. They were sitting at the top pumping for a very long time. Worms is definitely handing it to them. I definitely like to know who Worms is. Checkmate for war. We know they're not Checkmate, but they're definitely Worms. Worms having a strong position here. I mean, they grew to meet Barcoloco, and they're just dominating in the field here. Let's take a quick look at the land. I kind of wasn't expecting Barcoloco after waiting for so long to take such a big hit from a smaller kingdom, but Worms definitely knows exactly what they're doing here. So it definitely looks like Barcoloco is not in the greatest position. There's no chance of convergence here on the honor, it seems like. On the land side of things, Barcoloco has taken a ton of damage. Looks like they just had their wave as well. But again, very, very sharp angles here. I just don't see them being able to achieve that convergence again before mid-time. I think Worms has got a very strong position here. They did a ton of damage. Looking at the net worth side of things, look at that. I mean, Barcoloco has provinces under 300,000. Worms doesn't have a single province under 300,000, and they've got the biggest province, a Dryad at 700,000, fairies in the 600,000. I mean, this just spells bad news for Barcoloco. So best of luck to both sides in this one. I want to see how this war proceeds, because this is definitely one of those kingdoms that always has tricks up their sleeve. They might be able to pull this one around, or maybe they're just looking for that ceasefire. I mean, they're sitting at the top for so long. They weren't really biting on anything. It seems like they didn't really lose any net worth, so nobody was really waving them. Not sure what Bark was up to. I think they're just taking it easy. But I do recall Mogrim saying quad or bust. I mean, after their first war, or second war rather, with Utopian Crosswords after they won. He made sure to mention that to me in the Mooga chat. So best of luck to both sides on this one. But Worms, looks like you're doing extremely well. I hope to see great things from you going on later into the age, and I hope to find out who you are. So let's move on to the last war, Spirit Drinks versus Olympus. Let's take a quick look at who this is here. It looks like Olympus is down one province, and they have one in protection as well that was just restarted. So two province down on the Olympus side. Doesn't seem to stop them from taking on the bigger opponent, though. Net worth side of things, Olympus is pulling this one around. I mean, it looks like, this is one of those instances where the smaller kingdom takes on the bigger kingdom with more players, and actually, is going to win this war. I mean, look at the amount of damage that Spirit Drinks has taken already, versus what Olympus has taken. Now, I mean, it's very likely that since this war has just started, maybe Spirit Drinks is a bit slow to respond, because it doesn't look like Olympus is really taking any hits just yet. I mean, right here maybe, but again, this is war's already started. This would have been in the hostile. Maybe they're going back and forth a little bit, and that's where Olympus took these hits. But Olympus is definitely flipping it back around. I mean, let's take a quick look at the affected provinces here. I mean, this guy basically looks like he's an inactive. Um, this dwarf looks like he took the majority of the damage from the opening ceremony of the war here. And this undead and the dryad and the orc, of course. But on the flip side of things, Olympus really hasn't taken much damage, which leads me to believe there's not too much organization on Spirit Drinks' side. This might be just one of those wars where Spirit Drinks is just looking for a little bit of experience in war, and they just want that ceasefire as fast as possible. Olympus. Uh, yeah, so we got some nice comments here that I'm just going to point out in the chat. Cells waving. Let's see, I've got to go back and see how many times he says divergence and convergence. Yeah, you should. I do say it a lot. Message saying divinity is losing. Well, there was about a time in the Crosswords where he said about 8 times. Yeah, I mean, go back and check it out. If it's there, it's there. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me for tonight's episode of the Utopia News Warcast. This is your host, Win, signing off. I hope everyone has a great weekend, great evening, great day. All right, everyone. We'll see you next time.